Hello everyone, my name is Rob Britton. You're watching Newcastle United's Life and Times YouTube channel, and on today's show we have Paul, Alan and Len. So what we're going to do this afternoon is we're going to try and dissect that horrendous performance yesterday. Paul, do you want to kick the show off?
Where do you start? I went out to watch it last night. I thought, we'll bounce back after Liverpool. And how they got beat against West Ham last week. I'm thinking, they could be there for the taking. So I think the first 5 or 10 minutes we started all right. We had a couple of chances. And then you could see gradually they just came into the game more. You could see they were having a lot of the ball, moving around. We didn't seem to be pressing as much. We seemed to be sitting back a little bit, which was a bit concerning. We didn't seem to be playing one normal game. And then, obviously, the ball goes to Nick Pope when he's just got a simple ball to Trippier down the line, and he decides to just, I don't know what he done. Give it to one of their players. Obviously, then they've had a shot. It's ricocheted back out. They've scored from it. I don't know what Tonali was doing either when he tried to kick the ball out. Just went to one of their players. He had a shot and Ferguson scores. Then, obviously, the second half. The second goal was just Burn was sort of on Ferguson, and then Ferguson come away from him, left him for 10 yards. No midfielder was in that position to stop the ball coming through, and he had about a 20 yards. He's running with the ball with a free shot. I mean, it was ridiculous. And then the third goal, Fabian Schär's just turned his back on the ball, and it's come off his foot. But I just thought overall we don't look like the same team at the moment. I don't know what the tactics were and the players he's playing. I don't know if the three in midfield can play together. And then he took Tonali off. The substitutions were strange again for the second game in a row for me. When he just doesn't seem to want to take Bruno off. Tonali was my best midfield out of the three. Mm-hmm. Joe Linton obviously wasn't fit from the start. You could see that. He was leggy. That's a third match in a row. He hasn't looked fit and they're playing him. I mean, you've got Longstaff and Anderson champing at the bit to get on, and they're probably fully fit. He's playing him. He hadn't trained all week. It's just, I think we're going to have to start rotating a little bit now, because that's not working in the middle. It's going to have to go back to basics. And it showed yesterday how much we miss Botman. Just even his leadership, because Burn at centre-halves, he showed last week against Liverpool, it's just an accident waiting to happen. And Target at left back for me, bit ropey, and that was his first game for a while. But you're buying Lewis Hall for 30 million and you don't even give him a minute. Livramento was bought, 3-4 weeks ago, and I think we've seen him for 10 minutes. Just give him a little bit of a run. I mean, Miggy was terrible again. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just, there's going to have to be changes and questions asked, because they got all the plaudits last season, so they've got to take the criticism now, I think.
All good.
But just a bad day at the office. It's just terrible.
We'll save Alan's till last, because I've no doubt Alan's he's like a bottle of Coke when you shake it, ready to go off. Len?
Well, I got up this morning and went for a nice long run. I thought I'll get all this negativity out of my system. And I think I finished the run. I ran about 6-7 miles. And when I got back, I just felt 10 times worse, because all I'd been thinking of is all the mistakes were made and how badly we played and what a terrible result it is. So
at least you did more running than you did yesterday, then.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, I mean, that's one. Actually, that's one. It's an important point to start on, really, because they were just full of running. We got outplayed completely, I thought. I think we got outran, outpaced, outfought. There was only one team wanted to win that game, and that's harsh to say, really. I mean, luckily, I only actually watched the first 67 minutes, 57 minutes till the triple substitution was made. And then I was off to Killy Club for a wedding party. So by the time I left the house at 1-0, and I got to Killy Club about 20 minutes later, and it was 3-1 or 3-0, and then we scored a consolation. So at least I had a reason to leave after about an hour, a legitimate reason. But I don't know. I think that the whole team from front to back was poor. I think nice that Wilson got a consolation goal, took the goal well, so it keeps the goal difference. Which, that could have been even worse if we'd gone on and lost. They'd scored another couple of goals. They nearly scored a goal at the very end. I think, I'm sure Big Al's going to cover this in a minute. I thought Pope had a dreadful day. There was no need, to say what Paul says, there's no need for him to do what he did for that first goal. And then he actually made two mistakes, because when the ball did come in, he should have parried it or caught it or anything other than what he did, because, he had a disastrous day. I think Targett did himself no favours at left back, and you're right, Paul, you've got Lewis Hall sitting there. I'm sure Lewis Hall will now jump automatically above Matty Targett, in my opinion. Dan Burn, I love him at left back, but he is a liability at centre half. And finally, to agree yet again with Paul, I didn't like agreeing with him too much, but Tonali, match of the day, if you watch match of the day, he was a bit unfortunate, Tonali, because they highlighted the fact of where he lost the ball in midfield and he didn't chase back. And I think where there was 10 players on that pitch who were losing the ball and not chasing back. So for me, Tonali was a bit of a glimmer of hope. So again, he's been subbed, and I think Eddie Howe's got to look at it. He's got to shake it up. I think he seems reluctant to introduce players both from the start and when things aren't going wrong. He doesn't. There's no plan B. I said this against, I can't remember which match it was, but in my mind, we need an Andy Carroll type figure that sometimes you just need to bring off the bench for the last 20 minutes and lump it forward. And if we need a goal, we'll get a goal. But we don't really have a plan B. We'll just play exactly the same way for 90 minutes with different personnel. So it was an absolute shocker. And I'm pleased it's over. And I'm not sure whether I'm pleased about the international break or not. I suppose I am, so I don't have to endure watching the tune again for a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm. Very good, Len. Alan, I think you made some very interesting points. I think it was on the last show, and
that game justified everything I said. Everything I said. Justifications there. Pope out. Bruno out. Miggy out. Right? I said this for ages, right? Late the transfer deadline day, right? We'll link with Hugo Lloris. Thinking, give us him new instead of Nick Pope at the minute. I don't know what he was doing for that first goal. I could probably do a better job than him. And that's something.
Alan, you couldn't.
But anyway, seriously, he just goes by the same script, the same subs every single game. It worked once. And once was Aston Villa. Didn't work at Liverpool, didn't work at Man City, and didn't work against Brighton. So, I don't know what he wants to. I just don't know what it take him to shake it up. He needs to look at the team during the international break and give it a shake up, and maybe put the background in, just to show these players that are not untouchable. But what I've seen from Bruno, losing the ball all the time. The passing was. Joe Linton was said, he was looking a bit leggy at Liverpool, like Paul said the last few games. He looked a bit dodgy. Why not rest him then? But no, they play the same players week in, week out. It almost comes across like he's fighting to upset these players. Mm-hmm. And that's it, because I'm foaming.
Is that it? I was expecting like a 20-minute rant, Alan.
No, I'll keep it short and sweet, boys, because in the day, I said it in Liverpool, so I'm justified for me comments after the Liverpool game. Total justification. Smug face, Paul.
I mean, what? I know, like 3-1 away to Brighton. It's it's not a good result on paper, but it was the manner that we got beat. There was no urgency about our gameplay. We couldn't keep a hold of the ball. We couldn't string two passes together. They were closing with down all that. They looked like us last season. Mm-hmm. And it was quite worrying for me watching it, because I'm thinking after the Liverpool game, that's not the performance you wanted to see or expect. I
mean, when you look at, say, Mitoma, I think he's always a threat. He was going to be the main threat. And then you look at this kid Ferguson who's come in. I've hardly ever seen him play. He's a young He's going to go and have a great career. I mean, 18 years old and he scores a hat-trick against Newcastle United. If I'm Elliot Anderson, right, I'm knocking down Howe's door on Monday morning and saying, right, give me a chance, because I can get in the team and I can do what he's doing. Mm-hmm. Because if you're good enough, you're old enough, or whatever the saying is. Because really, he was outstanding yesterday. What a great! I mean, it'll be another player that'll get himself for 100 million next transfer window.
Next game, would you drop Bruno?
Definitely.
Too busy putting statements on Twitter. That's what he's doing.
Paul, would you
For the pitch, son.
drop Bruno, Paul, next game?
Yeah, I would now. Yeah, definitely.
Good lad, Paul. Good lad. You know it makes sense.
Would you drop Bruno in the next game?
In a heartbeat. I would have dropped him 2 games ago.
Oh, he did. He looked knackered for me yesterday. He did. He just looked like absolutely knackered. I mean,
if you're Elliot Anderson, you had a fantastic pre-season. He's probably lost all momentum he had now going into that by getting dropped. He should have just carried. He should have played him. And Joe Linton, the last 2 or 3 games, hasn't been fit, and he's continuing to play him. I don't understand it. It's just you can't keep loyalty to certain players for too long. You know, top managers don't do that, and Eddie Howe's going to have to learn. He's tough to drop it, so he's got to take the criticism.
I think Longstaff would be a player I would be bringing in because he just gives you
legs, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's got that graft and he'll just do it. I mean, you know, if you take Bruno out of that and put Longstaff into that team yesterday, we don't get beat 3-1.
Well, he would have covered Ferguson coming. He would have at least got there and tried to block a tackle off. He just ran straight through them. Terrible, really. Like it was schoolboy stuff.
I think there's 1 or 2 players played well. You know, I thought Isak did a lot of running in the first half. I somehow think, you know, can we fit Isak and Wilson in? You know, we need something a bit more going forward because everything was just Isak all the time. He's of course quite isolated. He got a lot of the ball.
Oh well, lads, we're going 4-4-2. Let's do it.
No, what I would say, go 3 at the back. 3 at the back with Livramento and Hall as wing backs. Trippier, Shaw, Botman in the middle, and Hoy Wilson and Isak up front.
And Paul, what's the chances of our great manager doing that?
Unlikely.
Yeah.
Very unlikely.
Years ago, when we used to shout at Rafa and 4-4-2. Remember that?
I love 4-4-2. I grew up on 4-4-2 with Shearer and Ferdinand up front, but we were spoiled.
Yeah.
What's
we're
annoying
not pressing anymore. We've stopped the way we played last season. We're sort of playing on the counter now, which doesn't suit us.
Do you think, right, I've just been sort of thinking about this, do you think we've been affected by all this Champions League palaver?
Do I?
Like in this documentary that's been on the telly, I think we've maybe...
Good point, Les. Good point, yeah.
Yeah, I think they've just got totally distracted from the job in hand.
Well, it's a bad habit to need a drop because you can't be distracted if you're going to be a top team because Man City's going to live with the hype. So as like the Arsenals and Man United, they're going to live with the hype. We're going to live with the hype. Exactly the same happened in January with this Carabao Cup final. Got distracted by that. We can't get distracted. You've got to keep the job in hand and keep concentrating on it.
I think
you've got to think now. You know, sorry, Len, you go.
No, you're right. I was just going to say. I think we've forgot what the bread and butter is, and the bread and butter is getting out Saturday afternoon, 3 points, crack on. Everything else is over and above that. But there's no good struggling in the league. And having bad form going into these cup games, whether it be the Carabao Cup or Champions League or the FA Cup, we need to get momentum going on a weekly basis, you know, in the Premier League, you know.
I mean, how leggy did we look yesterday? And that's before Champions League game. That's not even with a midweek game.
I think about 15 minutes in, we just looked knackered for the rest of the game. From what I saw.
If you're playing unfit players, you're at a disadvantage anyway. If you're playing Joe Linton, you're down to 10 men there. Unless you're Liverpool, you're not winning the game.
But the thing is, Al, I was talking last week about the fact we've got two people for every position. We've got a hell of a bench, but you're not going to win games with a hell of a bench, are you? You've got young players on there that are dying to get on the pitch. They can't wait to get going. Harvey Barnes can't wait. Harvey Barnes probably, from what I see, got about 10 minutes yesterday. You know, he needs to be on there for 90 minutes.
Do you think he's making the substitutions? Sorry, Alan. Do you think he's making the substitutions maybe too late when it's crying out to bring them on early?
He brought them on after 50. He did bring 3 on at 55 minutes yesterday. 3 of them came on a little bit earlier yesterday. But Wilson was our best player, by the way, and he only got 35 minutes. I mean, he's got to stop. He should be going to Eddie Howe now saying, look, I've got to be playing now. It's different when you're winning. You kind of can't brain on the manager's door, but now I think he can. When you're losing games, that's the time saying, look, I'm scoring goals. I need to be in the side now.
I don't know. Get that early goal and he can get you that early goal.
I don't know the exact figure. I'm sure probably Alan will tell. I'm pretty sure last season, did we lose 7 games all season?
5 in the league.
5.
Was it 5? Now, we're 4 games in and we've lost 3 already. Forget the opposition.
Last season, Rob, when we lost 3 games last season was the end of March. something like that. This is 6 months earlier.
Something's not quite right. It's
and you've got to think, Liverpool are 3-0 up. They're going to be 7 points ahead of after 4 matches.
The good thing is, when Man United get beat later on today, they're only 3 points ahead of us, Paul. So it's not all doom and gloom.
Unless VAR comes in and saves the day for them again.
Oh, they will.
I mean, you don't want the international break to come now because, for me, I would just like another game in a few days' time, get out of the system.
But I think he needs to get some of them fit, Rob. I mean, Botman was struggling. He was massive in this yesterday. You don't realise till he's not playing. Just the organisation and that from him. Joe Linton's got to get fit. They've got to get him 100% before he starts again, Joe Linton. And Bruno, I didn't know. They need to, if it's confidence or what's happened with him, I didn't know if this tweets affected him. But he just, because he's quite a passionate player, isn't he? He sort of hands off his emotions, doesn't he?
2 tweets now. He's done another tweet last night, all together and all that. They just say you can't pull a pitch.
You've got to say that, haven't you? Yeah.
But put a performance in, show you all together, put a performance in.
Actually, Al, do you think Bruno and Tonali can work together in midfield, or do you think it could be a case of one or the other?
One or the other for me.
I think so.
You could be looking at that way. But as he rushed it in, because if you remember when Bruno first signed for Newcastle, he just broke him in bit by bit, in the minutes, and then just more extending the minutes as he just hide these together, and it
hasn't worked.
And the first game it sort of worked, didn't it? Tonali, I think that's why he's kept Tonali in, because the first game it worked. I think if you play Tonali, you've got to play him as a 6. Because if you have Bruno as a 6, it's non-existent. That tackle he went into yesterday, then Ferguson had about 20 yards of space to run into because the number 6 wasn't there.
That's why you're missing Longstaff, and the stats on Longstaff.
Longstaff does the yards for him. Longstaff does all the running.
I know, but that's, you said last season, like when Longstaff was out, Bruno missed him. We'll put it down to that then. So, he's one of them. You wouldn't think it, but he's one of the main cogs of that team.
Well, Jamie Redknapp alluded to it last night. He was banging on it, and it showed you the stats with Longstaff in the side, and without them, we'll concede a lot more goals when he doesn't play.
So would you just put it down to yet again another bad day at the office for him? Again?
I didn't see it sorted.
Well, that was the worst performance of the season. Like I say, it's not getting beat off Brighton. There's ways and means to get beat. It's just the manner you get beat. And that was just what I was watching last night. It was just a few of them just seemed to give up and didn't care at certain points. And I haven't seen that since Steve Bruce. Or maybe it's that Villa game last season under Eddie Howe. That's the only time I've ever seen it.
Do you think yesterday's performance was worse than the Villa game last season?
Possibly, yeah. Possibly.
It's on a par with it, isn't it?
Aye.
Not one player, well, Wilson, but not one player came out with any credit.
There was just no agency at all there, but God, anyway. It's you need to address that and get it all sorted out. So anything else to add on yesterday's game, lads?
Well, actually, I'd just like to sort of end on a bit of a bright note. What I did do this afternoon is me and my wife sat down and watched the 4th episode of the documentary on Amazon. And I would say anybody who's either yourselves or anybody who's watching this who hasn't seen the 4th episode and need a bit of a lift, watch the 4th episode, because it was really uplifting and really reminds you of what we love about Newcastle United. After
quite emotional, wasn't it?
Well, I was holding back, because the wife was there. But no, it was great. It was a great bit of entertainment and just reminds you of why we follow such a great football club like we do.
So we've got the international break, and then our next game's the 17th of September, at home against Brentford, 4:30 live on Sky.
They've changed it, Rob. They've changed
it. It's a Saturday. Aye, with it. It's a game we've got to win. It's got to be, isn't it? It's a game we've got to win.
The next 4, they've got to win the next 4 games.
Yeah. And I think he's got to make major changes. For me, Bruno, Tonali, they can't play in the same midfield.
I agree.
You need Longstaff in to give you the legs. He'll run all day for your Longstaff. Bruno is not the most mobile person in the world. He's not, and I just think when he gets the ball, he's slow to release it as well. I think he hangs on the ball a bit too long, Bruno. He looks for the killer pass all the time, doesn't he? So big changes have got to be made. So,
Rob, on the signings, Rob, just a quick one on the signings. I've been obviously Soberslai's been great again today. Madison was fantastic, and Diaby, three players we were linked with in the summer, and they're all playing really well. And we brought 2 fullbacks in who can't even get a minute. 60 million for 2 fullbacks who aren't even playing.
it's all right getting these players in for the future now, but we need the squad now.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You know, you've got them in now and they're just sitting on the bench. Anyway, what do we know? You know, so... Right, anything else you want to touch on, lads?
Oh, I've got a question for Al. Did you enjoy your dinner?
Nah, it's halfway doing it.
Don't mention dinner. I've never had mine yet. I'm bloody starving.
I've got to build a Wendy house now, so I've got to shoot shortly, boys.
You're working on a Wendy house?
Aye, for my daughter.
Oh, I thought you were moving in.
No.
What, you're building one or?
I've got to build one, aye. So...
Well, yeah, Alan, at least you've got somewhere to go when you fall out with your lass. Just have a domestic, eh?
with his legs sticking out the door.
Sorry, Rob. Rob, I'll charge you some rent.
It's like a scene out of Elf.
Aye. So right. So I'm thinking about next weekend. Are you doing the entertainers? Yes.
Do the entertainers.
That's the plan. Right. I'm pretty much easy for any time over next weekend. When's best for you guys?
I'm free.
I'm doing a Great North Run on Sunday, so I'm not free on Sunday.
Oh, sorry, I'm away to Edinburgh Sunday.
Right, okay. So we're looking at Saturday then.
Saturday.
Unfortunately, boys, I've got to shoot off. I do send me apologies, but the band's kicking off.
That's fine, Alan. Right. Well, I'll catch up with you tomorrow. Right, see you. Maybe Saturday 3 o'clock-ish. Give or take. Yeah. I tell you what, then.
Will you not still be at work, Paul?
There's a thought.
That is a good question.
No, do it live from the van.
I tell you what, Len, if you're doing the Great North Run next weekend, I hope the weather's not like this for you, mind.
Honestly, Rob, I swear to God, I've just been looking at the weather forecast and it was looking like, it's just going to cool off on Sunday. It's going to be cloudy and down to 20 degrees, but it's a bloody heat wave we're going through. So I'll be lucky to finish that.
Plenty of water.
Aye, definitely.
But yeah, we'll do the entertainers one next Saturday. Like I say, that'll be a lot of fun. Looking forward to doing that. And like I say, just to wrap things up, shit result yesterday, shit performance.
Right.
It's a long season. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Oh yeah, you know we're in safe hands with them owners. That's the main thing. You'd worry under Ashley, but with these, it's just going to be a little blip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. Right, lads, thanks for coming on the show, and I'll catch up with you next Saturday, and we'll do the entertainer show. All right.
Well,
right. Thanks for watching, boys and girls. Don't forget to like the channel, subscribe, and from me, Rob Britt, I shall see you all later.
See you later.
Right. See you next week.
Right. See you later, guys. Turn on out.